Greetings, Lumen students. It's week 6. This is your Wednesday video. I have a few objects I want to show you and want you to guess the spelling words that go along with these items. I don't have the spelling words behind me because I want you to try to remember what they are and how to spell them. So please get a scrap piece of paper, and I want you to number from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I've got 7. Okay, down here. Actually 8. Okay, so I've got 8 spelling words I want you to write down based on the objects that I'm going to show you. So number from 1 to 8. I'm going to show you each object pretty quickly, so you got to write down the word and its correct spelling as fast as you can. Okay, you ready? Here's number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. Think about your spelling words this week. Well, you've been practicing them. Number 6. Yes, I really do have this. It's getting dirt everywhere. Number 7. And think about the spelling word that goes along with this. Okay. And then finally, I am wearing, the word that I'm thinking of. Okay. You'll have to come back tomorrow to find out what words I was thinking of, students. Good luck practicing those homophones and learning how to tell the difference between the two, which one to spell when. You're working on your action items related to verbs, and I have another fun picture book for you. This one is called Frank and Ernest. Got an elephant. I guess we're doing the elephant theme today. Here's my Horton. Okay. Horton and the elephant is a great example, isn't he, of how he is faithful, and elephants faithful 100%. Okay, but these elephants this elephant in this story and the bear try to do a good job as well, and they're working at a diner. Let me show you the beginning of this book, and we're going to be looking for the verbs in the story. It's just like our Harvey Potter used very unusual verbs as a farmer. The verbs that are used in this picture book for a diner are really interesting as well. Diners have their own language for cooking that will really, really surprise you and interest you. So let's read those and see if we can just identify the verbs together. Here's Frank and Ernest, and they look at an ad. You need help, or someone else looks at an ad. Need help? Do you need a vacation or to respond to a family emergency, but don't know how you could leave your small business or store? We'll take care of it for you. We don't know everything, but we're willing to learn and to work hard. Call Frank and Ernest at Belmont 2671. This looks like just what I need. Here come Frank and Ernest. I'll only be gone for 3 days, but my diner is very important to me. I hope you can handle it. Don't worry, Mrs. Miller. We will take as good care of it as you would. Look here, Ernest. Diners have a language of their own, and we need to learn it before we can wait on people. It really is beautiful, Frank. It will be great fun doing this job, but I think it will also be a huge challenge. Sally's Diner. And their first customer comes in. I'll take a hamburger with lettuce, onion, tomato, and an onion. Hey, Frank, burn one, take it through the garden, and pin a rose on it. What are the verbs that you notice? Burn, burn one, take it through the garden, and pin a rose on it. What in the heck does that mean, students? Here's what Frank thinks it means. He's cooking the hamburger, that's good. Hopefully not burning it too bad. Taking it through the garden by adding lettuce and tomato. And then, oh no, he did pin a rose on it, or an onion. Okay. I don't think it was supposed to have a safety pin, but maybe not, I don't know. Here's our next customer. I'd like a piece of apple pie and a glass of milk, please. He gives Ernest his instructions. Eve with a lid and moo juice. Ernest. Well, moo juice makes sense, right? Because that's cow milk. And Eve ate an apple. So an apple pie, Eve with a lid. That's just weird. Okay. No verbs though, really. A hot dog with ketchup for Jimmy and a serving of Jell-O for me, if you please. Paint a Bow Wow red, Frank, and I need a nervous pudding. Okay, paint is the verb. Paint a Bow Wow. Okay, the Bow Wow is the name for the hot dog, right? And the nervous pudding is the name for the Jell-O, because I guess Jell-O's all wiggly like you are when you're nervous. Oh no, he really is using a paintbrush. I don't think that's what it meant. But he got the Jell-O part all right. Well, Ernest, whew, we made it through our first day with 3 customers. Here's our next one. Ham with a potato and cabbage, please. Hey, Ernest, Noah's boy with Murphy carrying a wreath. Noah's boy, in the scriptures, Noah had a son named Ham with Murphy. Why is a potato called a Murphy? I have no idea on that one. Students, do you have any idea why a potato would be called a Murphy? Okay, and carrying's the verb, a wreath. Carrying, I don't know. I don't know why they use the verb carrying there. But it is some cabbage around the outside. Give me a vanilla milkshake with an egg in it to go. Would you give me a hand, Ernest? I need a white cow. Make it cackle and let it walk. Okay, the white cow is the milkshake. Make it cackle. That's putting the egg in it, right? Because hens cackle. Let it walk. Walk would mean to go, right? He's taking it to leave. And I need it to go. So cackle and walk are the verbs that they use there. I'll take the pancakes with maple syrup, coffee, and cream and sugar. A stack with Vermont and a blonde with sand. I do not know. Vermont has maple syrup, right? So I guess that means stack is the pancakes. I don't know why the coffee's called blonde with sand. I think we're getting better at this, Ernest. Well, their stack of pancakes looks nice, that's for sure. Oh, I had 2 of those pictures, sorry. May I have an English muffin with butter and a cup of black coffee, please? Burn the British, cow to cover, and draw one in the dark. So there's our verb burn again. Cow to cover. Well, that's the butter. Okay, cows make butter. Why don't they think, they use cow for everything. They could use cow for milk and cow for butter. Why wouldn't you pour milk all over it? I don't know. And draw one in the dark. So that's the black coffee. And he's got a draw. Draw is the verb. A tuna sandwich on toast. And a Dr. Pepper with the ice left out. Ernest, I need a radio sandwich down and an MD. Hold the hail. Why a radio sandwich? Tune? Oh, you can tune a radio, right? That's a tuna sandwich. And an MD, meaning a doctor, Dr. Pepper, that's the abbreviation for a medical doctor. And hold the hail, for the eyes. I don't think that's how he meant you were supposed to do it. The ice on the outside of the glass. Cute tuna sandwich, though. I'd like 2 scrambled eggs on toast and a cup of tea with lemon, please. Adam and Eve on a raft. Wreck 'em. And a spot with a twist. So wreck the eggs is how you scramble the eggs. Right? They're on a raft, meaning they're on some toast. I don't know why Adam and Eve are now the eggs. And a spot with a twist. Cup of tea with a twist. Looks pretty good. Gentlemen, the place looks beautiful, and I've heard nothing but good things from my friends who have eaten here in the last few days. You did a fine job, and I'll recommend your services to everyone I know. The end. Wow, I don't know. I don't know if I could learn all those different verbs for regular things. Why can't you just use cook or scramble? Or why can't you just use, what else were some of the crazy verbs in this story? Burn, pin, put. Why don't you just use put? Or why don't you just use squeeze on ketchup instead of paint? And why don't you just say make it cackle? Why don't you just say break an egg in it? I don't know. But it's true, students. This book is not making things up. There really is a whole different language about running a diner, and it gives you the vocabulary, even more words in the front and back, if you want to learn all the verbs and nouns that you need to know to be able to work at a diner. Maybe that'll be your career aspiration in the future. That's all we're going to work on for our language arts today. Now I want to just give you a little bit of information about another 7 wonder of the world, and I have a video to start us out. You know, I have to show this Studio C one. I can't talk about the Greek gods without showing Studio C. I want you to pay careful attention to if Artemis is featured, because the temple that we're going to be learning about was a temple designed for Artemis as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. So let's watch this just quickly, students. Oh, sorry, I've got an ad. Give me just a second. There we go.
Though long forgotten, nothing can come. Wisdom and intrigue of the gods of the ancient Greek pantheon.
I am Zeus, god of the sky, the weather, and fate. Come to me, all those who question their destiny.
I am Aphrodite, goddess of love, passion, and beauty. I will find love for the loveless.
I am Poseidon, god of the rivers, seas, and earthquakes. Beware the elements.
I am Artemis, goddess of wild animals, disease, and children. Come to me for all animal attacks, disease attacks, and child attacks. I am Demeter, goddess of agriculture. Farm, and I will be there.
I am Mastos, god of sensible spending. No one has listened to me for the last 30 years.
I'm Barbatronus, god of aging. You will age whether I do anything or not.
I am Minoscurus, god of the kind of grass that cows eat. Come to me if you're a cow.
I am Amphicelia, goddess of stupidity. Come to me with your bad decisions, and I will make them more stupider. Early.
I am Kilgrimon, god of all real and animated
I will one day rule the earth.
I am Renthalion, god of Robert Downey Jr. You're welcome.
I am Phoenicia, goddess of Nicolas Cage. I am way sorry. I am Cherubadinka, goddess of ridiculous names. All babies born in 2014, come to me in 10 years when you're being relentlessly teased.
I am Redagor. I like sports. Wait, what are we doing?
I am Gobarium, god of saying Gobarium when people ask what to do with corpses.
I am Dystonian, god of the Walkman and mini-disc player. Severely depressed.
I am Cantus Shapantus, god of unfinished... Was that a bird?
I am Hemaloris, god of running out of toilet paper. Fear me!
Organ Fiend, god of narration. And we are the gods of the ancient Greek pantheon.
I don't know, I just think that's really, really funny. And lots of fictional gods that weren't really, really were there, but I liked learning about them. So let's talk about this temple of Artemis and why it was so amazing, why it was considered one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. So this was fascinating because there was this history of several temples that were built on the same spot in Ephesus, and all of them came to a very bad and kind of really sad end, which was really, really interesting. So let me tell you about that. You did see Artemis in that video, and this was the temple for her. Okay. Let me back up just a minute, and I'm going to start with the first building that was constructed there. Okay. The first shrine to the goddess Artemis was probably built around 800 BC on the marshy strip near the river at Ephesus. So this earliest temple is reported to have contained a special stone, probably a meteorite that had fallen from Jupiter. That's really interesting. But the shrine was destroyed and rebuilt several times over the next few hundred years. By 600 BC, the city of Ephesus had become a major port of trade, and they built a new and larger temple. Chersophoron, who was the architect, was concerned that carts carrying the columns might get mired in the swampy ground around the river, and so he laid the columns on their side and had them rolled into place and then moved them upright. But that temple didn't last long. According to one legend, King Croesus of Lydia conquered Ephesus during the fighting, the temple was destroyed. Some archaeological examination of the site suggests that a major flood hit the temple site at about that same time, so that might have been the actual cause of destruction. Okay. After the flood and after this fighting, then another temple was designed to be rebuilt at that site. The architect is thought of this new temple was a man by the name of Theodorus. This temple was huge, 300 feet in length, about 150 feet wide, about 4 times the size of the previous temple that had been built there. More than 100 columns supported the massive roof. The new temple was the pride of Ephesus until 356 BC when tragedy struck. A young Ephesian named Herostratus, who would stop at nothing to have his name go down in history, set fire to the wooden roof of the building, and he managed to burn the entire structure to the ground. The citizens of Ephesus were so appalled by this act of arson that they tortured Herostratus to death, and they issued a decree that anyone who even spoke his name would be put to death also. One of the legends that grew up about that great fire was that the night that the temple was burned was the very same night that Alexander the Great was born. And according to the legend, the goddess Artemis was so preoccupied with Alexander's safe birth that she was unable to save her own temple from its fiery destruction. Well, they're not going to give up yet, okay? There's been 3 or 4 temples there, but this time they're committed. They're going to do an awesome job, okay? New temple was commissioned. The architect was Scopas of Paros, one of the most famous sculptors of his day. And this temple was built on the same wet location as before. They kept the temple on its original marshy location because they thought it would help protect the structure from the earthquakes that happened a lot around the region. The Great Temple is thought to be the first building completely constructed with marble. It also had 36 columns, and its lower portions of the columns were carved with beautiful sculptures. The temple housed many works of art. The length of the temple was 425 feet, and its width was 225 feet. It had 127 columns that were 60 feet high to support the roof. And the Parthenon, which still stands today, was only 230 feet long, so it's about half as long, 100 feet wide, so about half as wide, and only had 58 columns. So this was double the size of the Parthenon. According to some historians, construction took 120 years, but they think that's kind of an exaggeration. They think probably it was only about 60 years to construct. We do know that when Alexander the Great came to Ephesus in 333 BC, the temple was still under construction. He offered to finance the temple and its completion if he could be given the credit and if it could be named after him. Well, the city fathers didn't want Alexander's name carved on their temple, but they didn't want to tell him that to make him mad. So they said, "It is not fitting that one god should build a temple for another god." So Alexander let it go. So Pliny reported that earthen ramps were employed to get the heavy stone beams perched on top of the columns. This method seemed to work well until one of the largest beams was put into position above the door. It went down crookedly, and the architect could find no way to get it to lie flat. He was beside himself with worry about this until he reports that he had a dream one night in which Artemis herself appeared to him, saying, "Don't worry about it." She said, "I have moved the stone into its proper position." And the next morning, the architect found that the dream was true. During the night, the beam had settled into its proper place. The city continued to prosper as many pilgrims came to view this ancient wonder in this temple. The souvenir business was huge. They had lots of little figurines of Artemis that they sold. And then Paul that you've heard from the Bible, came to the city to win converts to Christianity. And the Greek fathers were worried that this would turn people away from Artemis. And so they seized Paul and his companions, and there was a near riot. But eventually the men were released, and Paul and his missionary companions left for Macedonia. But Paul's Christianity did win out, and the great temple of Artemis was destroyed during a raid by the Goths in 268 AD. Okay. We are going to I want to show you some pictures as we end up that interesting bit of history about the third wonder of the world that we have learned about. Actually, this is number 4, because we've got the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the Great Pyramid at Giza, the statue of Zeus at Olympia, and now the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. So it's been destroyed, but let's look at what it is reported to have looked like. Oh, maybe not. Oh, here we go. You can see all the columns, how long it is. Here's another drawing and illustration. There's the statues at the bottom of the columns and the pillars, as well as the sculptures and statues on the roof. You can see the chariots. Just huge. This is another digital representation. hey, this is what's left. Just one column still standing. Okay? And here is another view of what is left of the seventh wonder, one of the wonders of the ancient world, the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. And finally, here's a drawing of what people thought it would have looked like with the fountains and people everywhere and lots of exciting stuff going on. So, kind of an interesting bit of history, students. And we'll catch you next. Good luck working on your action items as well as your cartoon. And we'll catch you next tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining us.